Hello YouTube, today we have an Asus ROG laptop G732LXS-xs99, and every single one of those laptops will end up here at this repair facility because what we do is we specialize in power jack repairs. The prices for the current repairs are above those inflation adjusted prices for 2024. We will see how inflation gonna happen in the future and basically adjust accordingly. Inflation, deflation, depends. So the specialty here is the power connectors, this guy here. And the reason every single one of those laptops gonna be here eventually is the broken connector, broken power connector, power jack, socket input port, receptacle. And the reason it breaks is here, because this laptop power adapter requires 14 amps to 180 watts. I think I haven't seen any other laptops out there that require so much amperage to run. So this connector right here is not meant to handle so much wattage. And that's the reason why it breaks. And most of the connectors are not able to handle so much wattage, including this one. So, and this connector is proprietary to Asus. I only seen this connector on Asus laptops. And the reason why it's gonna end up here, because nobody else can really do the replacement properly, because it requires a certain amount of experience to get it right so that none of the nearby components gonna follow the motherboard. And this connector requires a lot of heat to remove. And if you're just gonna be using a soldering iron, that's not gonna be sufficient to remove this guy. If you're gonna use just the soldering iron, you're gonna mess up the traces in the back. And if you mess up the traces, don't send it to us because I would not be able to do much to help you out anymore. So as long as nobody touched this connector before, I'm pretty sure I could replace it and it's gonna be running fine. Now, one other thing you need to keep in mind, I'm not sure if I have a plug for this guy here. So that's how the connector looks like that. Here, hold on one second. All right, so for this particular plug, which for this particular repair, other thing you need to be aware of is the, I will show you after I'm done with it. The plug itself, this is not the plug for this, but this is, I'm just showing you the idea. Inside of the plug, there is a metal barrel. And that metal barrel is what's supposed to make contact with the plug on the inside. And when you have 280 watts running through that positive end on the inside, this is negative on the outside, and inside is the positive, what happens is the constant spark happens. Once you start to wiggle it around, once the connection is not solid, it starts to spark. Once it starts to spark, the whole interior of the plug gets oxidated. And there is really no way to fix that oxidation there because it just melts and oxidizes, melts and oxidizes. So even if I'm gonna put a new connector on this laptop came without the power supply. So I don't know how the power supply looks like on the inside. But even if I'm gonna put a new connector here, I'm sure the client gonna break this connector in an amount of like 5-6 months, and he's gonna send it to me again, simply because every time I tell a client to take a look inside of the plug and see if there is any oxidation on the inside, nobody seems to read my notes, so they just keep using the old adapter, the ones that they have in place. So, and many of them complain that the system doesn't work still, even with the new connector, simply because it doesn't work, and they want their money back, and I give the money back to anybody who asks the money back. But I know for sure, and I keep telling everybody, listen, if your system doesn't work, once they get it back, and I keep telling them, buy a new power supply, and if they don't buy the power supply, I just tell them, let me buy your system, because I know it's gonna work, because I test every single system before it comes out of here. When it leaves the place, it's get tested. So, again, I just wanna don't want any surprises for you in the future. The point is, even if you replace this connector, you do need to either chop off the cord and put another cord onto your existing cord, or you need to look at least inside of the plug and see if it's oxidated or if it's shiny. If it's shiny like that, you're good to go. If it's all orangey or dark color, then nothing anybody can do about it. Just like, buy a new power supply. Those are extremely expensive. They're about like $60 or so. I'm sure an aftermarket gonna work for this. Not sure for how long, because 280 watts, that's a lot of wattage coming through this jack. So here is the situation. Let me make sure that I'm just gonna mark it as this is stub, because I'm not sure. Let's see. Oh no, there's only one way to put this jack in. Okay, so let me show you how to remove it. And yeah. Alrighty, so I insulated the area around the connectors so that none of the nearby components will get damaged. The key here is to make sure the insulation gonna be nice and tight against the motherboard, because if any hot air gonna penetrate underneath the insulation, it's gonna take out most of the components nearby. So you wanna make sure it's nice and tight against the motherboard, so none of that stuff is being lifted up. Yep. All right. So because what the problem here is that it's not so much replacing the jack, it's mostly not to damage anything nearby. That's the key. Now, sometimes I use this 3M, that's like $20 on Amazon, flue tape. It's really good against you know what, I'm probably gonna use it here as well, right here. I'm just gonna rub this guy around it like that. It's gonna be some sort of protection here. Yep, like that. So the only problem is I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see what I'm doing. All right, so like that, good job. All right, so that's the number one thing to do, is make sure that everything around it is insulated. Next thing what we want to do is we want to add some flux. Then we want to add some leaded base solder. Leaded base solder has a much lower melting temperature than this silver base solder. So once you add leaded base solder to the silver base solder, it's going to lower the melting temperature. That way I don't have to fry the motherboard here. So I will use a hot air on medium settings, and it's going to be able, it will help me get this connector off the motherboard easy. All right, so let me show you. All right, so the key here is to add some flux right here. All right, and then what we do is we're gonna add some solder, leaded base solder, and we can introduce some heat already to warm up the motherboard. Let's see, just a little bit. All right, let's so what we're doing here is we're adding some leaded base solder to the motherboard. Alrighty. Now you don't want to cook the motherboard, so you don't want to have so much heat on the motherboard. You want to get it done as not so much as fast as possible, but try and get this connector out of there within timely manner. All right. Alrighty. Alrighty. All right, good job. All right, so next thing what we do is we need to remove the hold on one second. I apologize, the camera had the focus messed up. It kept refocusing. So what I'm doing here is I am desoldering every single trace. I want to thank Asus for manufacturing products like that, because if it wouldn't be for Asus, I would not be in business. If it wouldn't be for YouTube, I would not be in business, because thanks to YouTube promoters, people buy this kind of laptops, and I really appreciate that. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for supporting this business. All right, doesn't seem like it wants to do anything about these two traces. Let's see. Yeah, something doesn't want to go through. All right, so let's do this guy here. All right. Good job. All right, so here. All right, so here we have some stuff left on the top, which we're gonna take care of right now. All right, beautiful. Let's take a look on the microscope what we got. All right, so just the rear one here doesn't look great to me. All right, so what I want to do here, yeah, I mean, I need to desolder this a bit more. I need to fill it up with leaded base solder and desolder it more. Here we're pretty much all good. All right, so here we're good. What we got here? Here everything's fine, yeah. So just need to add some solder to here. Yeah. Let's put something like that. All right. All right, so the proper way to do it is to fill it up with flux. All right. Then add some solder. All right. Once the solder is added, what we're gonna do is bring the hot air. Get this guy here. All right. All right. Nope, doesn't want to work. All right, so here one more time. Let's do leaded base solder. Make sure it penetrates all the way in. Now good job. Good job. Excellent. Now let's take a look on the under the microscope. All right, so we still got something. Oops. We still got something. It's probably something on the other side. So let's take a look at the other side. Yeah, it's something on the other side. Okay. So we can just do it here. We've done it under the hot air. Yeah, I need to do it one more time because I don't want this trace to be damaged. So let's do it under the hot air. I already forgot which one is the closer one to me. All right, let's do something like that. Let's do All right, so we're pretty much there. So everything, well, a little bit left, but that's nothing to worry about, like right here. Just some residue, it's no big deal. It's just some flux. Oh, that's fine. All right, that's good. So let's put the new connector in. Let me first find the new connector. All right, so on our right hand side is the old connector, and on the left hand side is the new connector. So this old connector is of a new design, because you can see on this on the old connector is are those bumps right there. You see these bumps here? It's hard to put anything in there, like that bump and that bump. The spring is relatively hard, so maybe it's the inner spring. Oh, we got a bump right here. So it's a newer design of the jack, because it comes with bumps. I showed you some of the ROG's laptops that didn't have those bumps. Now the springs are relatively springy. So you see those springs, you put 280 watts through those tiny springs and nothing good happens out of it. And especially if you have an oxidated plug. So let's see. Yeah, the bumps here are a bit more shiny and pronounced right there. Bump here, bump there, bump here, 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 and here, and bump right there. So those bumps probably got worn out, I think. So yeah, this should be much more solid connection, because we got new bumps on top of the springs, and here as well. Yeah, so that's what's gonna make it connect better. All right, let's install the new connector. Ready. All right, so the first thing to do before the installation, what you want to do is you want to put as much flux as possible right on top of the board, because that will together with the connector will penetrate the entire trace. And that way the solder gonna be spread evenly inside the trace. I wanna make sure that everything is nice and even. Alright, so now it's nice and even. Alright. So what I usually do is I first do the top side just a little bit. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to make sure it's all being pushed down. Alright, so just a little bit. Once the top side kicks in, I can do it all. I could solder everything from the bottom after that. Let's see. Alright, wonderful. Right, let's solder it from the bottom. Because the top side already holds the connector in place, I don't have to worry about it not being in position. Alright, so I put as much flux as possible. Somebody gonna comment that's too much flux, but too much is not too little. And some would say it's not cheap. Well, everything became expensive nowadays, so yeah, I know. But I would rather have a much solid connection rather than save a few cents on the flux. Alright, so here. Alright. Alrighty. Alright. Just removing excess solder that was on the connector. So yeah, that's the old connector right here. That's the new one. Just want to make sure that, you know, there is nothing bait and switch here. That's the old one I just removed. Alright, so that's a brand new piece. Yeah, so I don't want to be accused that I'm not installing the new connectors in place. Alrighty. And here what I need to do is I need to solder the connection from the top. So we put it on the microscope. Under the microscope. Let's see. Switch to microscope. Alright. Now the situation here is a bit tricky because you can't really get into there easy. So what you want, the key is flux again. What you do is you put a whole bunch of flux here, 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 and here. All right. Then what you do is you try and add some solder here. And you see it doesn't want to get added because I want to add some solder right there as well. Oops. All right. It's just not every soldering iron can get into that position. And I can bet you no other service really gonna be doing what I'm doing here, because again, I replaced hundreds of those, of this particular connector, and I know all the fault points here, so it's better to get the solder on both sides. This iron I spent like $1,000 on its micro iron. The problem with micro iron, it doesn't produce as much heat as the bigger iron, so it's only made for microscopic soldering. All right, like that. But the goal for right now is to guide as much solder as possible into the connection. All right. All right. Good job, good job, good job. And the key now is to all right, so what I did was I brought the hot air to help out with the soldering, and you see how nice and smooth the solder on the rear pins where it matters soldered through. That's the way how it's supposed to be. All right. Here we're gonna do the same thing. All right. And yeah, the rear is perfect. All right. Let's remove the insulation. Yeah, you see a perfect solder on the ground pins here in the back. This is a ground pin. That's a ground pin. This trace is a positive trace, so all the current from here goes directly into those guys here. And I mean, the support legs are support legs, so there's nothing special about them. But overall, you see here, didn't get soldered the way it should be. I'm gonna touch it up, but the only problem is don't want to do too much because you see this component here could break off the motherboard, and that's the reason why you want to spend a couple $1,000 on a microscope like this one, so you could see if any nearby components got moved or got damaged. Now this guy I'm not even gonna touch anymore, because I know this one is holding, that guy is holding, and that guy is holding. If I'm gonna go and touch something here, I'm gonna probably mess up this guy. So this one I'm gonna leave alone. It's soldered from the bottom just fine. All right, here we got the... All right, so we need to clean up a little bit here because this is excess. Well, let's do it right now while we're still here. Alrighty. All right, so we cleaned that guy up. Good job, good job. What we got? What else we got? You see the inner pins, they got penetrated through as well. I'm talking about the pin that's right there, you see? The solder went all the way here from the bottom, and here it's also got solder just fine. Now let's inspect the bottom. This is the picture from the bottom. let me adjust so that you could see everything much better. Everything's solid on the bottom, nothing here to I just want to make sure that this is something not okay, so like that. All right, perfect. And you see 3M tape held this guy in place. I'm not sure what that is, but I didn't want to damage it, so maybe it's a breaker of some sort, goes from here to here. Maybe it talks to the casing and see if the casing is here, is grounding or not. I don't know, but those of you who know what that is, U5905, let me know in the comments below. Yeah, so beautiful. Looks good to me. Let me clean up all of this mess and put it all back together. What we got here are some Kimtech wipes. All right. All right, good job. We need to do the same here. Okay, good job. Right, I don't think it's interesting for you to see how I'm cleaning all of this stuff up. So we're gonna... Oh, you see, it's already beautiful. Beautiful, yeah. All right, so this is how it looks after the cleanup. Oh, I got some stuff left here. All right. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, please leave a like, subscribe. All right, moment of truth. Can we see if the laptop gonna respond to the... Oh yeah, right there. So the battery is charging. Now I don't have the 280 watt adapter here, so I'm not sure if it's even gonna power up. This is 230 watts. Hopefully that's gonna work. All right, so we got something on the screen right there, Republic of Gamers. It was just here. And it powers up, and right there it shows that it's charging. Let me bring another camera in. Right there, you see? The icon shows that it's charging right here. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, and you guys take care and have a good day. If you have exactly the same laptop, I don't recommend you sending it anywhere else except here, simply because I see this Asus ROG here every single day. And I wanna do a big shout out to all of the YouTubers who promote Asus, to everyone who has enough money to buy a laptop like that. So thank you so much for being there for me. I'm being sarcastic, obviously. All right, guys, yeah. Thank you and take care and have a good day. Thanks. Bye.